Before anything else, settle in. You don't have to brace here. Nothing in the next few minutes is going to ask you to try harder or be better. If it helps, put this on in the background. Let something warm sit in your hands, and let this be the one corner of your day where nothing is about to go wrong. Just listen. Because I think you know this pattern, and I think it scares you a little. Things are finally going well, and that's exactly when you break them. The relationship deepens, and you pick the fight. The project gets noticed, and you quietly stop opening it. The routine finally clicks. You feel genuinely good for 11 days straight, and then you skip it and keep skipping it, like some hand you can't see reached over and flipped the switch. And afterwards comes the question that's crueler than the wreckage itself. Why do I do this? Why do I always ruin it right when it's working? Because if you break things when they're bad, that's understandable. But breaking them when they're good, that feels like proof that something in you is against you. So let me say the true thing right at the top, before any of the explaining. You are not secretly trying to fail. There is no saboteur in you, no hidden death wish, no dark part that wants you miserable. What's actually happening is simpler, more mechanical, and much more forgivable. Success pushed you past the level of good that feels familiar, and your system pulled you back to the level it knows. You didn't destroy the good thing because you wanted it gone. You put it down because holding it felt, somewhere below thought, like holding something too hot. That's not self-destruction. That's a set point defending itself. And once you see the mechanism, the whole story about being your own worst enemy quietly falls apart. You know the feeling I mean, even if you've never named it. The week where everything's working, and instead of enjoying it, you get watchful. There's a low hum under the good news that feels almost like dread. You catch yourself scanning for the problem, rereading the affectionate text for the hidden edge, waiting for the other shoe, feeling weirdly homesick for something you can't name. And then comes the itch, to pick at the one loose thread, to start the unnecessary argument, to stay up wrecking your sleep, to just do something that takes the shine off. If good things make you feel exposed instead of happy, you're not ungrateful and you're not broken. You're above your set point. And your system is asking you, in the only language it has, to come back down. Here's what's actually going on, in plain language. Your body runs on baselines. Temperature, heart rate, blood sugar, each has a set level, and the moment you drift, quiet machinery holds you back. Physiologists call it homeostasis, and it's not a flaw, it's the reason you're alive. But here's the part almost nobody tells you. Your sense of self runs on baselines too. Research on well-being keeps finding that people have a characteristic emotional level they return to, after good luck and bad, a familiar altitude the system keeps steering toward. And the psychologist William Swann spent decades documenting something stranger. People work to confirm the identity they already hold, even when it's negative. In his studies, people with poor views of themselves actually preferred feedback that agreed with those poor views, because to the mind, being wrong about who you are feels more dangerous than being someone bad. Familiar beats good. So if your baseline says, things don't work out for me, then things working out isn't just pleasant, it's evidence against your identity. And some quiet part of you starts correcting the record. And there's one more piece. From some of the oldest research in psychology. When something is both wanted and feared, desire and avoidance don't grow at the same rate. Studies going back to the 1940s found that the avoidance curve rises more steeply as you approach the goal. Far away, wanting wins easily. But right up close, right when the relationship is about to get real, right when the project is about to be seen, fear briefly overtakes desire. Which explains the strangest fact about this whole pattern. It fires at the top of the curve, not the bottom. You don't flinch when things are going badly. You flinch when they're about to go right. So here's the way to hold all of this. You have an emotional thermostat. Somewhere along the way, childhood, old failures, years of just getting by, it got set to a certain temperature. Not miserable, just modest. A familiar level of okay. And a thermostat has exactly one job. Hold the number. It doesn't care whether the room is finally warm because you fell in love, or because your work got recognized, or because you're 4 weeks into feeling genuinely well. The moment life hits past the setting, it quietly kicks on the cold air. The picked fight, the skipped week, the abandoned project, that's not you being broken, that's cold air. And notice what this means. You don't have a destruction problem. You have a setting problem. Nobody fixes a chilly room by smashing the thermostat. You raise the setting, slowly, so the system accepts it. I'll tell you how this pattern finally got my attention, because I lived it for years without seeing it. Every time something I made actually worked, a project that landed, praise from someone I respected, I'd go dark. Not dramatically, I'd just stop. Stop opening the file, stop answering the thread, drift back to the small, safe stuff for a month. And I told myself the ugly version of the story, that I was lazy, that I didn't want it badly enough, that some part of me liked failing. Then one night I noticed the timing. I never went dark after the rejections. I handled rejections fine. They were familiar. I knew that temperature. I only went dark after the wins. The pattern wasn't pointed at failure at all. It was pointed at unfamiliar success. I wasn't running from the work. I was running from a version of my life that felt too warm to be mine. And I can't tell you how much changed the day the question stopped being what's wrong with me and became where's my thermostat set and who set it there. So let's name the story we were all handed, gently, because the story is the real problem here. Culture talks about self-sabotage like a gothic novel, the enemy within, the dark half, the part of you that wants to watch it burn. And that framing isn't just wrong, it's expensive, because if you believe there's a saboteur inside you, you start treating yourself like a suspect. Every good thing comes with surveillance. You brace around your own happiness, waiting to catch yourself in the act. And that vigilance, the bracing, the distrust, is itself the tension that makes the snapback more likely. There's even a name for the gentler truth, from the writer Gay Hendricks. He calls it the upper limit problem. The idea that each of us has an inner ceiling on how much good we'll comfortably allow, and when life exceeds it, we manufacture a way back down. It's a popular model, not a lab finding, but it points at the right thing. You don't contain an enemy, you contain a limit. And limits aren't fought, they are raised. So here is the big reframe, the one this whole video turns on. What looks like a battle between you and your dark side is actually a negotiation between two settings. One is the safety-setpoint, the band of success, closeness, and well-being your self-concept has certified as me. Inside the band, you can relax. Above it, alarms. The other is growth, which is not escaping the band but widening it, living slightly above the old ceiling long enough that the system relearns what normal is and redraws the band around it. Sabotage is what happens when you leap far above the band and demand to stay there by willpower. The alarm wins. It always eventually wins, because it doesn't get tired, and you do. Raising the setting is what happens when you go 1 degree up and let it become boring. The skill was never fighting the alarm. The skill is making the alarm unnecessary. And the governing principle falls right out of that. You can keep any good thing you can make feel normal, and you'll lose any good thing that stays feeling like a heist. Read that against your own history and watch it explain things. The wins you kept are the ones that had time to become ordinary. The ones you wrecked are the ones that still felt, weeks in, like something you'd stolen. Too good, too fast, surely about to be revoked. As long as the good thing feels like an exception, your system treats it as a fever to be brought down. The moment it feels like baseline, the same system defends it, because now the thermostat is holding your new number with all the stubbornness it once used against you. Which means the real work isn't achieving the good thing. You've already proven you can get there. The real work is staying unclenched, undramatic, 1 degree above the old setting until too good to be true quietly becomes just true. Let me make that concrete, because it stays abstract until you watch it play out. Picture 2 people in the same beautiful, dangerous spot. 3 months into the best stretch they've had. The relationship warm, the work finally moving. The first one hits the ceiling without knowing ceilings exist. The watchfulness starts, the itch arrives, and one Tuesday she picks the fight. The real fight. The one about nothing. And here's the part that actually does the damage. Afterwards, she reads the wreckage as evidence. See, I always do this. I ruin things. The snapback confirms the old identity, and the whole good stretch gets filed as another exhibit against her. The second person hits the exact same ceiling, same watchfulness, same itch, same Tuesday. But she's learned what the feeling is, so when the urge to torch something rises, she doesn't obey it, and she doesn't panic about having it. She names it. That's a thermostat, not the truth. And that's one small, deliberately ordinary thing that continues the good stretch instead of ending it. The itch passes, the way weather does. Same set point, same alarm. One of them mistook the alarm for a verdict. The other treated it as a reading on a dial. So how do you actually raise a set point instead of just white-knuckling at the ceiling until you snap? 3 moves, and none of them are willpower. First, go up in degrees, not leaps. The alarm is triggered by distance from familiar, so shrink the distance. Don't overhaul your life in a euphoric weekend. The higher the leap, the harder the snapback. 1 notch held beats 10 notches surrendered. Second, expect the snapback and shrink it. You will slip below the new level. That's not failure. That's the system testing the dial. What decides everything is what happens next. 1 missed day, 1 cold moment, 1 blown evening is a blip. It's the second one and the story you attach to it that resets you to the old number. So hold 1 rule. Never miss twice. Third, make the new level boring on purpose. Repetition is how the nervous system certifies safety. The 10th ordinary evening at the new warmth teaches your system more than any breakthrough ever did. Because it isn't evidence you got lucky, it's evidence you live here. And if you take one tactic from this whole video, take this one. I call it the 1 degree hold, and it's the move that replaces the snapback. Here's the rule. The next time something in your life is going genuinely well and you feel the itch arrive, the urge to pick the fight, skip the day, go cold, take the shine off, you do 2 things in order. First, you name it. That's the thermostat, not the truth. Out loud if you can. Naming pulls it up out of the machinery and into the light, and the urge loses most of its authority the moment it's identified as a reading instead of a fact. Second, you do 1 small act of staying, the smallest continuing gesture you can find. Send the kind text instead of the sharp one. Do the 2-minute version of the routine you're about to abandon. Open the project for 1 paragraph. You're not trying to leap higher. This is the opposite of pushing your luck. You're holding 1 degree above the old setting for 1 more evening, so your system can gather the only data that ever changes it. We stayed warm and nothing bad happened. So picture who you become when the set point finally moves. Good things still come, and the flinch still comes with them sometimes, because you're human, but it lands differently now. The watchful hum starts and you recognize it, almost fondly, the way you'd recognize an old smoke alarm that goes off for toast. You hold, the weather passes, and the good stretch, for the first time in your life, just continues. And when you do snap back, because sometimes you will, the aftermath changes most of all. The researchers Juliana Breines and Serena Chen found that people who met their own failures with kindness rather than contempt came back more motivated to improve, not less. Shame after a snapback is just the old identity refiling its evidence. Kindness refuses the filing. 1 blip, not a verdict. And so, wobble by wobble, degree by degree, the band widens, until one day you look around at a life warmer than anything the old you would have permitted, and the strangest thing about it is how unremarkable it feels. Not stolen, not borrowed, just yours at the new temperature. The good news was never that you'd stop hitting your limit, it's that the limit was a setting all along, and settings can be changed by the person standing at the dial. So here's your 1 small thing for today. not a reinvention. One move. Somewhere in your life, right now, something is quietly going well. A connection, a habit, a piece of work. You already know the one, because it's probably the one you've started feeling itchy about. Today, do one small act of keeping it. Not upgrading it, not securing it forever, just continuing it. The kind message. The 2-minute version. The one paragraph. And as you do it, say the line once. That's the thermostat, not the truth. That's the whole assignment. 1 degree held 1 day. That's how every set point that ever moved got moved. And if this landed, if you're tired of bracing every time your own life gets good, I wrote a short free guide for exactly this. It's the gentle system for raising your floor without triggering the alarm. Never miss twice, so one snapback stays a blip instead of a full reset to the old number. Rolling windows instead of streaks, so a good month with one wobble reads as a rising trend, not proof that you always ruin it. And the 2-minute version, which keeps your new, warmer baseline alive on the exact days the thermostat fights back hardest. It's called The Forgiving Habit. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. And it's free. No cost, no catch. If this is the kind of calm you'd like more of, you're welcome to subscribe and settle in with us. Until next time, be rigorous with your systems and gentle with yourself.